Okay, this is something else too. So if you're connecting, because if I remember correctly, you're connecting location A and location B, right? So just remember that when you're connecting one 66 block to another 66 block, your output for one will be your input for the other, right? So like let's say that this is going to be like this is let's for instance, right? We don't know what it's for, right? Let's say that this is going to be data lines, right? So let's say, just put data, right? And this is going to be towards like a server, right? So essentially what's going to happen is the flow of data is going to come from here, right? And then so the punch down for the data, right, into the which is going to be the output, right? And the output is going to be the input for this, right? And then that is going to lead to the output, which leads to the server, or vice versa, right? This could be this right here can be your data, and then this can be your server, right? And it doesn't matter if this is now your output is still your input, and now your input is your output, right? So essentially what it sounds like you're doing is like you're just replacing the cable, right? So like if let's say the cable that you were replacing, right? So like let's say the cable that you were replacing was this one, right? Right? And you're not touching anything on this side, and you're not touching anything on this side, right? You just mimic what you replaced. So if you plucked from this side, right? If you plucked it, oh shit, I'm not showing you, right? So like let's say you plucked from this side, then you punch down here, and if you plucked from this side, then you re-punch down here, okay? But essentially all you're doing is you're just mimicking what you plucked from point A to point B, right? So all you're doing essentially is you are mimicking, you are just remaking the connection between A and B. That's it. That's it, right? It doesn't have to be complicated, like overly complicated. Don't overthink it, buddy. I know it's like, sometimes like it's really easy to like overcomplicate it, but from like what I saw from your pictures was like one side was completely already punched down, right? Which was like this side, right? It was just like blue, white, blue, right, blue, white, blue, right, striped, right? So all you're doing is like if you're replacing, let's say you're replacing the connections between A and B, right? And it was like this, or even if it was like that, right, where you're doing what would be the quote unquote input to there, right? That's right. So if you plucked from this side, right, and this would be like the input, right, then it'd be the output, if that makes sense, right? I know I probably made it more confusing than it has to be, but essentially all you're doing is you're just whatever you plucked on one, you're doing the opposite on the other one, right? You should have noticed that where like let's say like here, right, is where you plucked, then input is going to be where you plugged like the other block should mirror that.